Good morning. This is Norma Cowie with a Sunday thought. During the week, I heard a few comments and it made me think about a course that I'd taken some time ago and have utilized this concept a few times in workshops myself. Excuse me. And that is the inner critic and the inner judge. Sometimes we forget that we've got created parts within our brain, within what's happening. And many of us have created at one time or another what we would call an inner critic or an inner judge. Now let's take a look at the inner judge. Actually, that's what sparked this. I heard some judgments and quite strong declarations of thoughts of being. And it made me remember that when we judge another, no matter what it's about or what it's for, and we quite often do judge, is that we have that within us. There is this concept that you cannot perceive anything outside of you that is not within you. And that happens to your critic, that happens with your judgments. So I want to tell a story that I heard once, and I thought it was really interesting at the time. You know, when Christopher Columbus arrived at the islands, it wasn't really the actual US that they talk about, but it was the islands that were set off. The natives didn't realize these boats were coming in. And why did they not realize them? Because they'd never seen them before. They made no awareness on their consciousness. So how often are we, like things are happening that we're not perceiving? We're not seeing because it's not part of our reality. And just like the natives back then, once they had seen a boat and figured out how they were, that they were what we call boats, that they then always saw a boat. But before that, no, they didn't understand. These people are landing. They saw the people when they landed on the shore because they're used to people. They weren't used to boats. So what happens is that we then create a dialogue within our own minds as to maybe when we look at boats and we think boats mean this or that or the other, and we have a sense of direction. But we also, as we grow in our day and our awareness about behavior, how we're supposed to be, what is correct, I think, and I'm not sure now because but when I was raised and when I raised my family, that we passed on what we thought was correct and the way to behave or way to what to do things and how to do things. So what happens is we develop these inner critics and these inner judges that are perceiving the world through the grid. And often as I have progressed in my age, I've had to often disassemble some of these grids I have. So think for a moment, I'm going to put my hands in front of my face like this. And this is how I'm seeing, well, it could be even up here. This is how I'm perceiving my world, that this is how it's supposed to be, overlaid by this. And so consequently, what ends up happening, you have a lot of perceptions of what is correct, what is not correct, how it's supposed to be, how it's not supposed to be. And you begin to not realize that you are actually being judgmental or critical. I won't say I'm exempt sometimes for this. I'll look at this and go, oh my goodness. But I'm aware now. Because I'm aware, I can then shift and be more understanding. A lot of this has to do with the other side of things, which is acceptance. Accepting differences. Different cultures we've had to accept, different awarenesses, different sexual modalities. I know in my life, there's been, instead of this little world that I lived in that was pretty safe and comfortable and everybody fitted into the main criteria. But as you grow and expand, what I really want you to understand today is if you find yourself sitting in judgment of anything, is to look inside. Where is that judgment coming from? Where did you hear it? Where are you intolerant of it? Where are you feeling that that's not acceptable? Rather than accepting that's them and this is you. When we have emotion behind anything, it means that we're not at peace with it. We're not in a reality sense. We're not comfortable with it. I know with all the work that I do, I judgments are gone out of a lot of my windows, and more accepting. I accept things. Sometimes I have to, when I hear something very new, I have to kind of take it inside and figure it out. But on the whole, I really, really come to understand people have different realities. But I also know that reality that they perceive from their inner judgments, their inner critics, I'm not talking about emotion per se today, but very often it's tied into that. And that is how it all works. So I want you to have fun this week and being just aware, like sitting back. I find if I want to observe something, I sort of sit back in my head and watch and just observe where you're critical. And I see many of us have inner critics for ourselves, and we're very hard on ourselves. We should have done that right. We didn't say that right. With a lot of shoulds and shouldn'ts and stuff like that. But very often we're critical on the outside, not realizing that actually we can only be critical on the outside if it's already in the inside. And so it can be fun to explore. We are very interesting character. I was going to say creatures, but we're humans. By form, I guess we're a form of creature. But anyway, that's what came to my mind. We're interesting creatures. We're interesting in such a way that very often we do not totally understand how our brain works, how our emotions work, how we interrelate, how it all works. But it can be interesting in observing what our thoughts are and where they come from and how much we accept and how much we react. How much we react in judgment or being critical. So I want you to have a great week. I will be back tomorrow night for mental mind treatments. And if you have any issue, please email me through my website, or if you're on my newsletter, it has my personal email on there. So you can email me them or you can text me. So please, and then I'll be back Wednesday. So you have a good Sunday. Thank you.